So good morning everyone. Welcome to the lecture 12 of Grid and Cloud Computing. So in this lecture, we'll discuss about the cloud security and the trust management. So before going to this particular topic, so I would like to tell you about three words, four words that is very much important. One is called as your security, right? Another is called as your privacy, right? So as a computer science student, you should know what is the difference between security and privacy. Security is nothing but if you want to safeguard your data, whatever data you have, you want to safeguard it, right? You want to save it, right? That is called as your security, right? But if you want to safeguard your identity, right? What is your identity, your personal information that you don't want to reveal, that is called as your privacy, right? So don't be confused in these two words. Security is with respect to the data, privacy is with respect to identity. Like you know that during corona situation, suppose a particular patient is tested positive, his identity will not be revealed, right? That is called as your privacy, because you should not tell that this person is having corona, right? So his identity will not be revealed to public. That is called as your identity, right? But security is you have to protect your data, right? That is very much important. Similarly, there is two things. One is trust, another is reputation, right? Trust and reputation, these are very important word. In day-to-day life also we are using trust and reputation, right? So somebody may trust another person, right? You are trusting your friends, right? Suppose your friend is purchasing a laptop, right? So you trust that you trust your friend, right? So what you can do, if you want to purchase a laptop, you will go for the same configuration. That is your trust, right? But whenever we are talking about reputation, right? If you go for reputation, reputation is nothing but your society. What your society require, that that is called your reputation. Suppose I will ask that how is that person, right? A particular person's information just I want to know. So I have to ask to the society that what is his reputation in the society, right? So similarly, trust happens in the between service provider and cloud user. So early in 2011, when we purchased a book in Flipkart, so we are not believing Flipkart in that much, right? So what we are thinking, that whether that product will come or not, we are in doubt. But today, if you order a thing from Flipkart or Amazon, you have a lot of trust in this shopping, in these online shopping providers, right? So similarly, whenever you are getting cloud services also, you have to see there is a trust established between the service provider, right? Like Amazon or Microsoft or IBM, and cloud user, like a human being, right? Just end user, right? Suppose I want to use cloud, we have to trust. Like Gmail, you are storing your information, you have trust in Google, right? If you don't trust Google, then you cannot store your confidential information in the uh, email, right? So trust is a social problem, right? Trust is a social problem. It is not a pure technical issue, right? So based upon the experience, based upon the usage, based upon the scalability, based upon the availability, you can say that no, that website is trustable, right? But that is not a purely a technical issue. There is no technical issue, right? Suppose a new company will come into the market, so nobody will trust, right? But after 5 year 6 year time, whatever product you have asked, right? Whatever product you have purchased, if the product is damaged, whether they are giving replacement warranty, replacement policies, they are fulfilling or not, that you can see, so that the trust can be established, right? So social problem can be solved with a technical approach. How to solve this social problem, this trust problem, you can solve using some technical approach, right? But on the other hand, if you see, what do we need in cloud? We need our work should be executed in the cloud without any hindrance, without any problem, without any potential problem, right? So what you can say, you have to see that in order to design a cloud ecosystem, right? In order to equal the cloud ecosystem, trust should be established between the provider and cloud user, right? For example, what we need? We need that free users from abuses, right? Some violence should not be there, cheating should not be there, hacking should not be there, right? Viruses, rumors, pornography, spam. privacy, copyright violations. These things should not be there. If this thing will not there, then the cloud user will believe in the cloud service provider, which will build a cloud ecosystem. Now, there are three basic cloud security enforcement. Okay, first one is security in data center. Wherever the data center is placed, there also you need to make sure that whatever physical servers are there, they should not be captured by some third person, right? So what you have to do, you have to go for biometrics reader, right? Biometrics reader will authorize a particular person to enter into the data center. If a person is a authorized person, he can enter to the data center, the data center, right? You can install CCTV, right? CCTV will capture the footage, right? So CCTV will see that footage, right? So based upon that, you will know something about whether any unauthorized person is entering in the data center or not. You can go. You can also detect the motions if some movement is there. Okay, suppose in the night time, if there is a movement is there, you can also able to identify. For that, you can use Internet of Things, IoT also having a lot of sensors, right? You can deploy these sensors so that if there is any movement, unauthorized movement, if you are not expecting there is a movement in that particular area, if there is someone is moving there, then also you can detect. So main traps. So this kind of security is there with respect to the data center. Second one, you have to go for network security. How you will do deal with network security? You can install firewall, like our computer system is having also firewall, right? You can go for intrusion detection system. If some intrusion is there, you have to design a system to detect that intrusion, right? Third party vulnerability assessment. So by looking into these factors, you can secure your network. Not only your single system, but in your network, whatever computer systems are there or whatever servers are there, you have to secure them. Third part is called as a platform security. So you know that platform as a service we are using, right? Whatever platform you are using, you have to make sure that it is also having your data should not be leaked, right? So what kind of things you can use? You can use SSL, okay, secure socket layer, or data decryption, encryptions, right? Next, you can use a strict password policies. Nowadays, whenever you are setting a password, it is saying you have to select one uppercase letter, lowercase letter, a number, and let's say special character, right? Such type of restrictions are there whenever we are registering. So by looking into enforcing the strict policies, so you can make a platform security, right? Or system trust satisfaction. Sometimes whenever you visit a particular website, so it is showing green, right? Like if you visit online SBI, you can see that in the top bar, in the website bar, so you can see there is a green symbol, right? That is a trusted one, right? But some websites, they don't have that one, right? So by looking into this, you can say that whether a particular site having trust certificate or not, right? So in each and every website, there is a trust certificate that also you can see, right? So in order to say that whether that site is a genuine site or a fake site, because a lot of fake sites are also there, which are they are capturing the information of cloud users, so they are using misutilizing the informations. Now, if you see, this is the complete layer, right? Whatever we discussed earlier also, you know that the bottommost layer is infrastructure as a service, right? Which is having your hardware, virtualization, connectivity delivery, and all APIs, application programmable interface, right? Then on top of IaaS, we have platform as a service. On top of platform service, we have a software as a service. Now user is present here, right? User is deploying applications and accessing the cloud in the software as a service layer, right? So in each and every layer, you have security policies is required. Security is not required in overall perspective. That is required. But in each and every layer also, you have to see what kind of security things is required, right? So for example, if you see in this bottom layer, right, like infrastructure as a service, you know, there are a lot of networking is there. One server need to connect with another server. So in order to migrate the resources, right, for this you require some policies with respect to networking, right? Similarly, in the virtualizations also you require trusted computing. Hardware level you require is divided into two parts. You know, IaaS is divided into two parts. One is your hardware as a service, okay? So compute and storage is the main important factor of the infrastructure as a service. So you have to secure them, right? For securing them, what you have various policies. like networking, they well known, that is firewalls you have to install, right? Some anti-DDoS is there. DDoS stands for distributed denial of service attack, right? So suppose I want to make a service down, right? A service should not be available. What I will do, I will create multiple instances, right? Multiple fake instances, right? And it will slow down a particular server. For example, I want to access google.com, right? I have created a program, right? Google.com will open in each and every new tab, right? And it will open for, let's say, 1 lakh times, right? Or 10,000 times or 20,000 times. So it will automatically slow the services, right? So such type of things can be avoided by the help of anti-DDoS approach, right? DDoS says distributed denial service, right? This is denial of service. You are doing with respect to a particular computer system. But if you are doing with multiple computer systems, then you can claim that that is a DDoS. So there should be anti-DDoS mechanism should be there. You can also go for quality of service. You know that quality of service is an important parameter. At any cost, quality of service should not be violated. Another thing you can say, DNSSEC stands for Domain Name System Security Extensions, right? So these will protect your network. Similarly, if you go for trusted one, you can go for hardware and software. Root of trust, right? It will protect it will give you the trusted computing, right? Similarly, if you go for compute and storage, you have intrusion detection system, right? Or you have intrusion prevention system. One is detect, one is prevention. First one is prevention. We'll try to prevent a particular thing, right? If it is not possible, then we will try to detect it and we will do some kind of actions, right? So like that, with respect to all the layers, with respect to, let's say, applications, API, integration of operating system with middleware, there are a lot of mechanisms are there, which we will discuss in the further slides. So next is, there may be some malware based attacks are also there. So there is an assignment also I fixed for this particular class, that you have to find the difference between what is a virus, what is a worm, right? What is a malware, in which case we call that one. You have to see, because we are saying computer virus, sometimes we call it network worm, right? So you find the differences. I will not go through details. I expect that these things will be completed in your cryptography network security subject, right? So when you go for malware based attack, right, what kind of attack it may happen? It may happen with respect to network worm, it may happen with respect to viruses, or it may be a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack. So multiple computer systems is used to attack a particular services, right? That is called a distributed denial service attack, right? So this attack, if you see, provide intruders unauthorized access to the critical information. Those users are not authorized. For example, somebody is not authorized to see your data, but he is using your data. That is called as unauthorized access. Unauthorized access means without your username and password, he has done something so that he can get your critical informations, right? So you have to avoid that. By that, you have to avoid such SSS, right? Without your username password, nobody can enter to your system. That is a robust system you have to design. So whenever you go for cloud component, right, that demands special security protections, right? That's why many researchers also told that cloud computing in security aspect, it is not matured. It is not 100% secure, right? That's why you have to go for special security protections. What kind of security? First one says that protection of servers from the malicious software attacks such as worms, virus, and malware, right? You know, servers are there in the, lot of servers are there in the data center. Lot of servers are there in the data center. If somebody inject some kind of virus, right, into a particular server, it may propagate from one server to another server, right? If I will capture a particular server, if that server is communicating with another server, so the same virus can be propagated, right? So after some time, if you see, the entire server can be captured, or it will be affected by the viruses, right? That you have to take care. So protection of hypervisor, you know that hypervisor is nothing but the virtual machine monitor, right? So it creates the virtual machine, it manages the virtual machine, it knows the status of the virtual machines. So in this case, what you will do, protection of the hypervisors and VM monitors from the software based attack and vulnerability. You have to make sure that your hypervisor should not be faced any kind of attacks, right? And next is You're nothing but protection of the virtual machines. Whatever VMs you have created, you know that multiple VMs you are creating in a single physical machine. In a single physical machine, you have multiple virtual machines, and these virtual machines may be dedicated to different user. It is used by user 2 and it is used by user 1. So you have to ensure that the user 1 should not get the critical information of user 2. That's why protection of virtual machines and monitors from the service disruption and DOS attacks also in a special security protections. Next one is protection of data and information theft, corruption, or natural disaster. Right? You have to protect the data, even if there is a natural disaster is there, or there is a data corruption is there, right? Or data is theft is there. You have to ensure that how you can protect the data. For example, I have encrypted your data, right? For example, you want to send a data XYZ. I have encrypted with this data with, let's say, AE5C, something like this, right? So an attacker get this AEFC. So he may not decode this data. If he is not able to decode this data, he will not get my original data, that is XYZ, right? That's why data protection is also important. Next one is providing authenticated and authorized access to the critical data. Those persons who is authenticated and authorized, right? For example, this particular class, this class you have given with a username and password or some link. By looking into that, by clicking into that link, you are entering to this class, right? But suppose you have shared that link with another friend, right? So that friend also, if able to enter this particular class, so what will happen? That is called as your unauthorized access, right? That unauthorized access you have to avoid, right? So that if unauthorized person can access your data, then your data will be leaked. Okay, so you can misuse your data. That you have to ensure, right? So there are some security challenges is there in with respect to the virtual machines. One of the challenges is nothing but your hypervisor malware or guest stuffing or hijacking or VM root, right? So somebody may hijack the virtual machines, right? So you know that sometimes the virtual machine is migrated from a physical machine. Let this is a physical machine one, okay? Another physical machine two is there. Sometimes what we are doing live migration. We are moving virtual machine from one physical machine to another physical machine. So what will happen? So whenever you are migrating one virtual machine from another virtual machine, there it may face man in the middle attack, right? Man in the middle attack, right? Or it may face some kind of active attack, or it may happen the passive attack, right? Active attack is nothing but what you are doing directly. Passive attack, you are simply leaking the information or collecting the information, and that information you are using for some further attack, right? So in order to deal with this, what we are doing, we have an intrusion detection system. In intrusion detection system, you have two types of intrusion detection systems are there. One is called is your network based intrusion detection system. Another is called is your host based intrusion detection system. So as you can see, with respect to these words, you can say that host is nothing but a computer system or a server, right? Okay, or a particular virtual machine. So you have to protect it. Next one is, you know that if a virus is injected or if an intruder can access a particular computer system, that may be propagated to other system as well. That's why you have network-based intrusion system. In your network, you have to make sure that everything should be secure. Like now in corona situation also, if you see the world health organization says that no one is safe unless everyone is safe. That is correct, right? If everyone is safe, then only you can claim that you are safe, right? Whenever you are visiting one place, so there may be some person is affected by this virus, right? So you have to ensure that the host based systems as well as the network based system is not facing any kind of attacks. So these are the very various protection schemes are there. For example, we have to secure the data center. We have already discussed secure the how to secure the data center by installing CCTV, right? Camera surveillance, okay. Or if somebody is deploying some bomb, we have to detect it, right? So because one service provider maybe want to damage the resources of other service provider to take business advantages, right? So for that, you have to ensure that such things should not be there. Some of the other protection schemes, if you see, that is called as use redundant utilities at multiple sites. It's obvious, right? We are capture, we are storing the data into multiple locations. because if there is a natural calamity will happen, the data will be not be lost, right? Another protection schemes you can see here, trust delegations and negotiations, right? So how you can do it? By issuing a particular certificate, right? If somebody is giving a particular trust certificate, then you have to trust. Like various organizations are there in between, they are called as third party organizations. They are taking your information and they are certifying you, right? Like you know that in your while you are studying BTech or MTech also, you are doing Cisco certificate, Microsoft certificate. So this is giving some kind of branding, right? It indicates that you are comfortable in that particular software or that particular course, right? So such type of things you have to see. Some other things are your worm containment and DDoS defense and reputation system and so on. Okay, so these things we will discuss throughout this course. So for this, what you require a certification authority. What certification authority says that between the cloud consumer, right, cloud consumer and cloud provider, there should be a third party who is controlling, who is, you can say, you can, who is certifying or who is providing information to the consumer and provider, and consumer provider is believing that third party, then only you can manage this trust. Okay, so if you go for virtualization, right, you know that virtualization is a very good concept, right? In virtualization, by applying virtualization, you can deploy multiple virtual machines and they can use the same physical machines, right? Okay. So if you go for entire virtual machines, right? So virtual machine is nothing but a software component. It is a part of your physical machine, right? So if you see in overall, what is a virtual machine? It is nothing but it contains the binary data or it may contain the digital data. Similarly, whatever virtual machines you are using, suppose one security policy you have enforced to the virtual machine, the same security policies you can deploy to another virtual machine, right? Sometimes what happen, user may not be comfortable. That I will tell you in tomorrow's practical class. Whenever you want to create a particular virtual machines, you may not comfortable. What kind of security policies you have to do? What kind of storage you require? So what you have to do? So you have to copy the resources of another virtual machines, right? So that is nothing but the cloning of virtual machines. You are taking the resources of another virtual machines, right? So virtual machine can be saved, it may be cloned, it may be encrypted, it can be moved from one physical machine to another, or sometimes you have to restore it, right? If there is some backup policies are there, you can also restore it, right? So in order to achieve this, why want to do these things? You want to get a high availability system and faster disaster recovery. This will help you to do this particular thing, right? So next one is your live migration of virtual machines, right? You know that VMs can be migrated from one to another one. So in a network, if you see, the network is completely distributed, right? So you have to see that building distributed intrusion detection system, as I already mentioned, DDoS, distributed denial of service attack. Similarly, here you have to go for distributed intrusion detection system, as your resources may be migrated from one region to another region, right? So coming back to the real life examples of these things, you can see there are some privacy and copyright protections are there with respect to the cloud service provider. You can see Yahoo's pipes. They are using lightweight cloud platform, which is providing the privacy and copyright protections. Similarly, if you see in the Google is using its own in-house softwares to protect the resources. Similarly, Amazon EC2 uses the very popular X.509 certificate and HMEC to provide the privacy and copyright protection. So this privacy and copyright protection varies with respect to the cloud service provider. Next one is what are the desired security policies? What for good? Which policies should be desired and which security policies is essential? That is very much important. Essential is compulsory, right? Desired is optional. If you provide the desired facility, the cloud user will more believe in you, right? So what you need for desired security policies, first one says that dynamic web services with full support from the secure web technologies. So whatever web services are there, they are dynamically provisioned to the user. So you have to ensure that these services are properly following the secure web technologies, right? Similarly, if you want to establish a trust, right? Establish trust between the users and providers through service level agreement and reputation system. So you know that there is agreement between the user and provider that we call is a service level agreement. So you have to establish a trust between the user as well as the provider through the service level agreement. While you are making a agreement, user should trust you, right? Or whatever factors you have doubt, that should be replicated in the service level agreement, so that you can say that user is believing a particular provider. The third one is nothing but effective user identity management and data access management. Each user who is participating in the cloud, so you have to ensure that these users are using their identity, right? Each user is assigned with a username and password. By entering this username and password only, they can access to the data whatever they have stored in the cloud. Then there is a single sign on and single sign up to reduce the security. Sometimes you know that your Gmail is on in your mobile, Gmail is on in your laptop. Sometimes you have two mobile phone, your Gmail is also there in another thing, right? Or whenever you are using WhatsApp, you know that wave WhatsApp. So whenever you are using wave WhatsApp, it is showing where you are accessing the WhatsApp from another. You are using WhatsApp from a computer system. Everything is coming, right? So that in that case, what you can do, you can suppose you want to log out from all the system, right? You think that maybe some unauthorized user is accessing your account, so you want to log out. So you can apply the single sign up policies to enhance, you can say, the security enforcement, because multiple sign in lead to multiple attack, right? Or multiple chance that unauthorized people can access to your account. Auditing and copyright compliances, right? Whenever you are installing your computer system, also you may have seen something is written copyright Windows, a particular year is mentioned, right? So everything is copyrighted, right? So one should not use your copyright, right? Whatever things are there, that is having a particular license, right? So like Windows, whatever version, so whenever you purchase a computer systems, they are installing Windows 10 or Windows 7 or whatever maybe. So you are using a copyright version, right? Nobody can copy this software and use in this computer system, right? So piracy should not be encouraged, right? So that thing also you have to see as a desired security features. Another things you have to see that whenever a client he want to change a particular environment, suppose today I am using Amazon, tomorrow I want to use Microsoft, right? So you have to ensure that whatever data you have in cloud, it should be moved from Amazon to, let's say, Microsoft without any problem, right? So that is also one of the security features. Another one is your protection of the sensitive and regulated information in a shared environment. Whatever data you have there, there may be a sensitive data, right? Some data are very sensitive, right? Very confidential data are there. So you have to ensure that that should not be given. If a shared environment is used, that should not be leaked. So this is an example. You can see Amazon EC2 is there. Another cloud service provider is there, Force.com. They are connected to a gateway, right? And that gateway is a secure one, right? This gateway is a secure one. So it is ensuring that whatever resources you are using, or application server you are using through HTTP protocol, right? Message queue you are using with Java message service, database you are using with structured query language, or some web service client or browser you are connecting with the XML or SSL. Everything is connected to the gateway. So you have to ensure that this gateway is a secured gateway, okay? Or this gateway is nothing but providing an external firewall, right? So that anyone want to attack this application server and message queue or database or the any cloud service provider, it will not be success, right? So this gateway should be secure as much as possible, right? So that it will decline the services, right? It will decline the unauthorized access to the complete system, right? For this you have several policies are also there, but you have to ensure that no unauthorized people should not enter to your system. Okay, so before going to that, let me take a poll. So please answer this one. Your 30 seconds. Which one is a social problem, not a pure technical problem? 15 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. What is the correct answer?
Trust, sir.
Trust. Trust. Okay, that we discussed in today's class. Okay. So as I mentioned, this gateway in the previous slide we are discussing about gateway. The gateway is connected to multiple entity, right? So you have to ensure that the gateway is fully secured. Otherwise, fully secured to protect access to a commercial cloud. If gateway is not secure, anything can be leaked, right? So gateway should
Sir,
ensure that application. Yes.
we have
Yes.
types of services in cloud computing. What is meant by types of servers, sir?
Types of servers. Where we mentioned types of server?
We got a question in
Okay, this
assignment.
one, yes. Types of server. There are okay. I will discuss at the end of this class. I will discuss. There are rack servers are there. Okay, there is blade servers are there. Various types of servers are there in the cloud, right? So that I will
Okay, sir.
discuss in more details. Okay. So you have to ensure that the gateway secures the application server, message queue, database, okay, client using whatever protocols you are using, everything should be in secure one, right? So coming back to the distributed intrusion and anomaly detection. So it is a completely a distributed system. As it is a distributed system, anybody can attack in any place, right? One may initiate attack in US, another person can attack in Europe, another person can attack from Singapore. Multiple attacks is there. So the weakest point in the cloud is that is nothing but your data security. That is the weakest link, right? So you have to ensure that whatever data is there, that should not be leaked, right? So if you come to the Amazon IaaS model, Amazon Infrastructure as a Service model, it is more sensitive to external attack, right? Amazon is more sensitive to the external attacks. Okay, these IaaS models is attacked by various people. That is an external attack. So many IT companies are also offer cloud services with no guaranteed security, right? Many people cannot handle the security mechanism. So in their SLA, they have written that in security aspect, we cannot guarantee, right? Sometimes the computation is more important than the security. So it should not be, right? But many IT companies are providing such type of services. So how to avoid it, right? Sometimes we have to go for signature matching. So suppose I will ask some digital signature kind of thing, right? So what will happen whenever you want to use the services, you have to give your digital signature, right? So in each and every time, you have to generate different signature. In each and every time, you have to take different signature, right? So it requires frequent updates of the signature in the database. Suppose somebody want to change his signature, right? Or somebody want to take digital signature and that is validity for only 24 hours. So that should be updated in the database so that the last one, the updated one can be verified. So if you see here in this diagram, you will understand more clearly. You can see these computers are nothing but these four computers are nothing but your DDoS attacking zombies. Okay, these computers want to attack a single computer system, and this computer is nothing but your victim. This is your victim computer system, and these are the attacking computer systems, right? So what this computer system says that they are finding a particular path. They are finding a particular path to reach this particular victim machines. Okay. So this computer is attached with R3. This computer is attacked with attached with router 5. This is router 6, and this one is router 7. So what is their objective? They are present in different locations, right? They are in completely distributed, but they want to attack to this particular computer system. So they will find a path to reach to this particular computer system. So one may choose R7, this computer may choose R7, R9 and R0. This computer may choose R8 and R1, then R0. This computer may take R5, R4, R2, then R1, then R0. This computer may take R3, R2, R1, R0. The complete figure is given here, right? In this way, if you see this particular, you can say, yes, this particular link or this particular link is used by multiple people, right? Like R5 is also following this particular path, and R4, yeah, that R3 is also following this particular path to reaching R0, right? So that they can initiate the attack from various places, and the services provided by this particular computer system or server will be slowed down, right? So this is nothing but your malicious attacking flow. We are doing the malicious attacking flow, and we are attacking a particular computer systems in order to get the data, or in order to crash the system, or in order to get some confidential information from the system. So here what happened in this example also, you can see here there is a virtual machine monitor, here there is another virtual machine monitor. You know virtual machine monitor can create multiple virtual machines. So one virtual machine I want to migrate from one VMM to another VMM, right? So while you are migrating a host A to host B, okay, through a vulnerable network, this network is a vulnerable network, anybody can attack, okay. So it may face a man in the middle attack. So while you are transferring one virtual machine from a particular host to another particular host, it may face man in the middle attack problem. So how to avoid it? You can avoid it by the help of a technique provided by various researchers. So it is related to the research papers available in the cloud computing, that is called as your data coloring problem. Like you know map coloring problem, like suppose Telangana's neighbor state is, let's say Karnataka, or let's say let's say whatever states are there, right? Or Andhra Pradesh or something. Let me write XYZ. XYZs are the neighbor states of Telangana, right? So what we will do, if Telangana's neighbor state is XYZ, if you want to go for coloring, what you have to do, whatever color you have assigned to T, you should not assign the same color to XYZ. Similarly, the same type of problem is given here. We are doing the data coloring techniques. We are giving whatever objects you are creating, whatever data you are storing, everything is colored by some means, right? So why we are doing this? We want to preserve the data integrity and user privacy. You know that we are going for data coloring problem. So what are the advantages you will get? What are the features you will get? Special APIs for authenticating users and sending mails. We will build a particular special APIs. If a particular cloud service provider having a special APIs and nobody is aware of that special APIs, only except the provider and the consumer, so nobody can enter to that system. That is one kind of authentication you can give it. Next one is fine-grained access control to protect the data integrity and deter intruder or hackers. So there are two grains you may have studied in the computer architecture. One is called fine grain. Fine grain is the more detailed one. Coarse grain is the overall one, right? If you go for fine grained access control, you can protect your data integrity. Similarly, shared data sets protected from malicious alterations, detections, and copyright violations. If a data sets is shared by multiple peoples, you have to ensure that whatever copyrights are there, that is not violated, and nobody is doing some malicious alteration of the data. Suppose some data is used by you and me. It may happen that you have write permission, I have write permissions. So I can change the data, you can change the data. So you have to ensure that there should be any synchronization between different users. Some other things is that ability to secure the ISP and CSP, internet service provider and your cloud service provider, right? Both you have to see that for invading the user's privacy, both should be responsible for your to securing your data, right? Personal filewares at user end to keep said data set from Java, JavaScript or applet. Some applets are there like Java, JavaScript or ActiveX applets are there. So you can install a personal firewall so that nobody can enter to your system. Similarly, privacy policy consistent with CSP's policies to protect against the identity theft, spyware or web box, right? Whatever cloud service providers policies are there, these policies will protect your data for theft from the cloud service provider or spyware or web box. And you can also use the virtual private network. Nowadays, people are using VPN tunnel or VPN channels between the different resource sites. One resource site, you want to move to another resource site, right? So you can use a virtual private network in which you can save your particular data. So earlier what happened, you know also whenever you are preparing a project report, in the project report, if you see in each and every page, you want to give a watermark. Watermark may be your logo of your institute, right? Something you are doing, right? Or you are, if you can see your particular certificate, in certificate also some logo is there, right? Some logo is there or some watermarking is there. So if you see your mark sheet, behind that mark sheet, if you see, there is some watermarks are there, right? So if you tilt like let's say in 45 angle or 50 angle, some angle, so you can see some logo is coming, right? Or some security features we are giving, right? So in the past, people are relying on watermarking, right? That watermarking is giving your digital copyright management. But if you see now what we are doing data coloring. In data coloring, what happens? You are giving unique color. So see here, there is a data owner, right? Data owner is here and there is a service provider. They are negotiating and they are deciding which color you have to assign, right? So there may be various services. One services may be EX, another service may be EN, another service may be HE, or there may be 3 different users also. So each and every data, whatever stored in your cloud, if you see, that is colored, right? So whenever you are asking for your data, your service provider will check whether that color, whatever assigned and whatever color you are claiming, both are same or not. That is done by this color matching algorithm, right? You are giving a particular color matching, okay? And earlier, whenever we are storing your data, right? Whenever you are storing your user data, what you are doing? We are doing coloring your data, right? That's why the process, if you see the process is going like this and it is coming like this, right? So whatever color you are asking, whatever color you are claiming, and whatever data is stored, it is also colored, right? So if both colors will be meshed, then only a confirmation will be given by which you can assess your data. Otherwise, you cannot assess your data. For this, data coloring mechanism is used. So user identification is also colored to be matched with the data color, right? Your identification, how will match? By the help of coloring, right? Similarly, if you go for data protections, if you go for the earlier, how people are storing the data, they are using encryption technique. Encryption is done by the server, right? The sender, and decryption is done by the receiver, right? So by assuming that if a ciphertext, okay, ciphertext is captured by third party, he is not able to get anything, right? So that is a very expensive mechanism, but it is replaced by the data coloring mechanism. In data coloring mechanism, you can color the data, you can decolor the data objects. So the minimum number of calculations is required in the data coloring. So data coloring technique is better than the traditional technique, that is your data protection. So there is a data lock-in problem also. I also referred this in the last few classes also. Data lock-in problem says that suppose you are relying on, let's say, Flipkart, right? Sometime after some time you don't rely on the Flipkart. So whatever data is there in the Flipkart, you want to suppose migrate it to, let's say, Amazon. Okay. So for in cloud context, you can say your data is stored in Amazon, right? You want to flip to, let's say, Microsoft. So whatever data or whatever processing you did with Amazon, you want to shift to another cloud service provider, let's say Microsoft. If you are able to do it comfortably, then you will say that data lock-in problem is not there. If not, then you can claim that there is a data lock-in problem. So here what happened? Once the data is moved to the cloud, user cannot easily extract their data and program. That is a limitation of cloud, right? Because what is the reason? Because whatever API is used by Amazon, that API may not be used by other cloud service provider, right? Each cloud service provider may have their own API, so they may face problem. So that is the lack of application compatibility. So what you can do, we can suggest in order to standardize, if you want to standardize the things, you can say that we will use a standard cloud APIs. All cloud service provider will use the same API. Then this problem can be solved, because whatever data is there in your Amazon, you can migrate it while you are migrating from Amazon to Microsoft. You are using the same API. That same API will resolve the data lock-in problem. So next part we will see in today's discussion, that is your reputation. I told you earlier also, there is a difference between trust and reputation. Trust is a personal opinion. Whether you are trusting me or not, whether you are trusting another person or not, that is a personal opinion. But reputation, if you will ask me, okay, that suppose I want to ask about me. So you can ask 5-6 faculty members of NITW, then you can say that his reputation is good, or his reputation is good, bad, or his reputation is average, right? So that is nothing but your public opinion. So trust is nothing but a subjective matter, but reputation is nothing but an objective matter, right? So that way the reputation is different from trust, right? And reputation is of two types. One is a centralized system, it will be a distributed system, right? Centralized system is again two types: user oriented or data center oriented. User oriented, we know that eBay, right, or social network is coming under the user oriented. Data center is oriented is your Google and Amazon, right? And these are the authors, right? If you see here, user oriented, these authors have proposed some solutions, and data center oriented, these users, okay, these authors have proposed some solutions. This is belongs to a research paper. You may not get much details about this part, right? But I will try to simple these things so that you will understand. So centralized system means what? If something is centralized, it is very easy, because there is a central place where you can get your opinion, right? So central place is very easy to implement and demand more powerful and reliable server resources, because if a particular person will attack to that particular centralized system, then there you may face a problem. But distributed system, they are not present in a single place, they are present in various places, so it is a more complex system, right? So there is some user-oriented reputation system, as I mentioned here. User-oriented or data center-oriented is two types of centralized and distributed system. So various universities also design various types of reputation system. For example, you know the very popular university that is called Stanford University. They are using Eigentrust reputation system. Another popular institute, that is the Georgia Institute of Technology, right? They are using peer trust system. University of South California people are using power trust system. Okay, View and its group people have developed one type of system that is called as QoS based reputation system, ranking system, right? So these are the various reputation system designed by various people. If you want to make trust, if you want to make a organization that trust a particular reputation system, okay, or you want to build a reputation system, so you have to ensure that you are having your own system, because in your own system you can define in a much better way than the using an existing system. So while you are going for reputation system, if you are going for a distributed system, you have to ensure that data should be consistent. Suppose you are storing the same copy of the data into two different places, so you have to ensure that there should be data consistency, and you have to ensure that there should not be any copyright protections. Okay, there should be a copyright protections. So one should not take your one should not copy your data or copy your copyright or whatever things you are using, that should not be copied, right? So one should not use the pirated software, that you have to see. Data objects must be uniquely named to ensure the global consistency, right? So if you see here in this diagram, I will tell you, this is divided, this reputation system is divided into three parts. You can see one is in the bottom layer, you have distributed reputation aggregations and probing in the piracy corridors, right? So somebody suppose you want to you have purchased a antivirus, right? And your friend is asking that antivirus, you are giving that antivirus, right? And your friend is also installing that antivirus, but the antivirus is restricted to only one user, right? So this is a copyright violations, because your friend is using a piracy software, right? For this, bottom layer is there. Bottom layer is responsible for your user authentication, SS authentication, trust delegation, and data integrity control. But top layer, if you go to the top layer, you have distributed defense against worms or DDoS attack and copyright. So you have to design some defense system. That defense system will protect your system from worm, attack, or any copyright violation. For example, while activating an antivirus, your internet connection is required. So while you are giving internet connections, your antivirus company will check that whether this software is used earlier or not. In that way, you can avoid, right? So in that way, you can misuse the detections, anomaly detection, you can penalize the pirates, you can issue a notice. Many institutes also gets notice because they don't have any Windows license and Linux license. And these two layers, this bottom layer and top layer, is combined by the help of this trust overlay network, right? This trust overlay network is act as a middle layer in order to compensate these two layers. Okay, so these are the things whatever we discussed, that centralized system and distributed system, and various researchers have proposed, right? Like Huang and Lee proposed this overlay network, this trust overlay network, which is having two layers. One is the bottom layer is dealing with the distributed trust negotiation. Top layer is nothing but how to create a defense system in order to avoid attack, virus, and copyright protection. So trust comes not only from SLA. You should not mention everything in the SLA, but something you have to mention. Okay, not only from SLA, but also from the security policies. Everything you have to specify in the SLA, and many things coming from the trust and reputations as well. Like many trust websites, we are trusting without purchasing a single item from that particular website, but we are trusting that particular website, right? So both reputation system and data watermarking mechanism or data coloring problems can protect the data center access to the coarse grained data to limit the data access and fine grained file level. So what is desired? The main desired is that like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service, we need a security as a service in order to avoid the copyright violations or whatever we discussed, that is misuse of data or worm contaminations and DDoS attack. Everything can be possible by the help of designing a security as a service layer in cloud computing. So this is all for today, and this is all about your module unit 2. So next class I will discuss about unit 3.